Okay, so imagine this. The very act of looking at something changes what you're looking at. That's not just philosophy, it's physics. And today, we're diving into how quantum mechanics reveals that our expectations and identities might be shaping our reality in ways we don't even realize.
Right, and it's not just about particles in a lab. This idea that observation changes the observed has implications for how we live, how we make decisions, and even how we see ourselves. It's fascinating stuff.
It really is. Let's start with the double-slit experiment, because that's where this all begins. So, in the 1920s, physicists discovered something mind-blowing. When electrons are fired through two slits and no one observes them, they behave like waves, creating an interference pattern. But the moment someone observes which slit the electrons pass through, they collapse into particles. It's like the act of observing forces the electrons to choose a state.
And what's so wild is that this isn't just some quirky quantum phenomenon. It's a principle that applies to the way we experience life. If observing changes the outcome, then who we are as observers, our beliefs, our expectations, our identities must be shaping the reality we experience.
Exactly. And here's where it gets even more interesting. Neuroscience backs this up. Our brains receive about 11 million bits of sensory information every second, but we can only consciously process about 50 of them. So what happens to the rest? It gets filtered through our beliefs, our emotional states, and our identities. In other words, what we perceive as reality is actually a co-creation between the world and the observer we bring to it.
So if someone walks around with the belief that I'm not good enough, that belief becomes the lens through which they filter all that incoming information. They'll unconsciously look for evidence to confirm that belief, dismiss positive feedback, and interpret neutral comments as criticism. It's like their identity collapses the infinite possibilities of reality into a very narrow, very specific experience.
And the opposite is true too. If someone believes, I'm capable and resourceful, they'll notice different opportunities, interpret challenges as solvable problems, and make decisions that align with that belief. Same world, different observer, completely different reality.
It's like wave function collapse, but applied to human experience. Your identity, the beliefs and assumptions you hold about yourself, collapses the infinite field of possible interpretations into the specific reality you experience and act within.
And that's where this idea of acting from state, not toward it, becomes so powerful. Most people think, if I achieve the result, then I'll feel like someone who succeeds. But the quantum model, and even psychological research, suggests the opposite. You have to first become the identity, and then the results follow.
And it's not just about slapping on some positive thinking, right? It's not about pretending to be someone you're not. It's about genuinely inhabiting the perspective of the person you want to become. When you act from that internal state, you make different micro decisions, notice different opportunities, and create different interactions.
So instead of saying, I need to get better at confidence so I can feel confident, you ask yourself, who would I be right now if I were already confident? And then you act from that place. It's such a subtle shift, but it changes everything.
It's like every decision, every word you speak, every choice you make is a moment of measurement. It's the collapse point where your identity meets action. That's when the infinite field of who you could be narrows down to who you actually are in that moment.
And the beauty of it is that every moment is an opportunity to choose your collapse point, to decide which version of yourself is going to observe this situation, and therefore, which version of reality is going to emerge from it.
So, the person who enters a tough conversation as someone who never gets taken seriously, and the person who enters it as someone who communicates with grounded clarity are not just having different experiences of the same conversation, they're in completely different realities.
That's where the practice of conscious observation comes in. Before any significant moment, you pause and ask yourself, who is the observer I'm bringing right now? Not, what should I do? Or, what do I want? But who is observing?
Because everything downstream, how you perceive the situation, how you interpret it, how you respond, and ultimately the outcome, is shaped by the answer to that question. It's like calibrating the instrument of perception. When you do that, the experiment changes.
It's such a profound shift, isn't it, to realize that you were never just watching your life unfold, you were always determining it.
And it's such a hopeful realization too, because if your identity is the lens through which reality is shaped, then you have the power to change that lens. You're not stuck with the one you've been using.
Exactly. You can consciously choose to align your internal state with the identity that creates the outcomes you want. And then you act from that state, not toward it.
It's like the mantra, the version of you who expects limitation collapses a reality of scarcity. The version of you who holds possibility open collapses a reality of expansion. Identity isn't a mirror of the world, it's the lens that shapes it.
And it all starts with that one simple question. Who is the observer entering this moment?
It's such a small question, but it has such big implications, because the answer determines everything that follows.
So before your next interaction or decision, just pause. Ask yourself that question. Consciously shift your internal state to align with the identity you want to embody, and then act from that state.
Not toward it, from it. That's the key.
And that's how you stop just watching your life and start determining it.